everybody. It is just after 11:15 and time to show up. I'm showing up. I'm glad you showed up. I appreciate every single one of you. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. And let's shit in the box. I took a day off of Starfield today. I'm going to take another couple days off from Starfield because it is that time of year and I need to power wash the patio. So I'm going to spend the next couple of days pressure washing concrete. What fun! Anyway, today I was actually thinking about buying more Creation Club credits and adding a couple more creations to my load order, and I thought, I should go and play some fairly recent indie games that have just been released, just small things that seem to have interesting ideas. And I picked up a bundle that had Journey to Incrementalia and Void Miners. These were both very interesting takes on the roguelike genre. They're both incrementals, they're both roguelikes, but they take almost diametrically opposed approaches to the question of progress and replayability. In Void Miners, you have a fairly traditional skill tree, most of it hidden. You buy a skill and it unlocks a couple of other skills, and you can't see what those skills are until they pop up. I hate this because it makes it really hard to plan. You can't see the path to the thing that you want because you don't know the thing you want is even there. So you don't have a way to get there very easily. And accordingly, I found later on in the game that by upgrading something fairly small and basic, I unlocked another small basic thing to upgrade that would have cost me a lot less and done me a lot more good than the expensive shit I was upgrading out on the edge of the tree. So that's a thing that was happening, and I wasn't happy with that. The thing about Void Miners is you're supposed to eventually fill out the entire tree. At some point, you will end up with every skill in the tree. You'll just max everything out. And then I don't know what the point of replaying the game is. Like, why would you? You have the maximum stuff. You can play as long as you play in the endless mode, and that's that. Whereas in Journey to Incrementalia, you have a skill tree, but the skill tree is much larger than you will ever have enough points to fill out. It would take, if you tried to fill out the entire skill tree in Journey to Incrementalia, it would cost about 7,000 skill points. And you get 3 skill points per level. So that's level 2,300 and something. Level 2333, 2334 technically. Before you can fill out the whole skill tree. It's massive. It looks like it's not going to be that big. It looks like it's only going to be about 1,500, but there are skills that increase the skill cap on previous skills as you go down the tree. So that makes things difficult. the game part of Journey to Incrementalia is that every time you go through 4 levels of the game, you get 3 new skills that are available to you. And one of them may dramatically alter the things you can do in the game. But you would have to have chosen all new skills from the beginning. So it has this reset skills button over in the corner. And that's what you're supposed to do, is every few levels you're supposed to go, oh, my build doesn't work here. I'll reset my skills and make a new build that will work under these conditions. And that was just fascinating. And when you add on top of it the kind of the stacking notion of the spells that you can cast and the way that you're summoning armies, there's a lot of room for strategy. There's a lot of room for unique approaches to the problem, which is just, there's a wall. The wall has a bunch of hit points and you have to do that much damage to the wall. Off you go, have fun. Well, what's behind the wall? Another wall! There are 100 walls. And then you enter endless mode, where there's no end to the wall. The walls just keep going forever. You can do 2,000 walls if you want to. I can't imagine anyone would, but you could. It's a thing you could do. But here's the interesting part about it. Once you get to the end of each of these games, there's no replayability to it. And for Journey to Incrementalia in particular, that took me just under 8.5 hours to complete. It took me just over 3.5 hours to complete Void Miners, and just under 8.5 hours to complete Journey to Incrementalia. But Journey to Incrementalia is a cheaper game. It's $5 to Void Miners $6. Now, the interesting thing is, I bought them in a bundle at 15% off. So the question is, how do you look at this? Do you look at this as you got both games for 15% off and the $6 game is still more expensive than the $5 game? Or do you take the 15% off the whole thing and see the $5 game as still being $5, but the $6 game as now being $4 and change? Which one do you imagine being the more expensive game in the bundle? Is it still a $6 game and a $5 game and you got a discount for your purchase? Or did you buy the $5 game and get a discount on the $6 game, and now the $6 game is cheaper than the $5 game? Depending on how you look at it, one of those interpretations might make you mad. You might look at this and say, why is the game that took half as much time to complete more expensive than the game that took 8 hours? You might also ask yourself, I mean, I paid $90 for the premium edition of Starfield. And I've gotten almost 5,000 hours of play out of Starfield. I've got 4,800 and some, I think. Let me check real quick. 4,821 hours for $90. That is 50 hours for $1. That's a lot. That's a lot of value for your money. Of course, it is worth observing that I've dumped about $40 into creations, paid creations for Starfield. So you can think of it as a $130 game, which makes it about 35 hours for $1. Still a really good deal. Meanwhile, the hours per dollar for Journey to Incrementalia is at regular price is just over an hour and a half, whereas the number of hours for Void Miner, again at full price, is just over 30 minutes. If I had paid full price for Void Miner, if I had paid $6 for Void Miner, would I feel like I got my money's worth? I think I would. And if I was looking at it in isolation, I would go, yeah, for $6, yeah, 3 hours for $6, that's not bad. Whereas Journey to Incrementalia gave me an hour and a half per dollar. That's clearly a better deal. That's almost 3 times the value. So when you compare the two, you might get mad about the $5 game being 3 times as valuable as the $6 game. I prefer to look at it a little bit differently. I prefer to look at it and go, did I get $6 worth of fun out of this? Was that worth $6? I didn't even pay $6 for it. I paid $4 and change for it. I was gonna buy Journey to Incrementalia at full price, but they have this bundle. And that bundle was like, for an additional $4 and change, you get Void Miners too. Okay. So to me, Void Miners is just $4 and change. The list price is $6, but that's not what I paid for it. You could look at the bundle as 15% off the whole thing, and the relative prices stay the same. And I could see somebody being upset when you compare the two and go, this one was 3 times as good as that one, but this one was more expensive. But because there are multiple ways to look at it, I feel like you should try to look at it in a way that's not going to make you mad. I think that's a good idea. So I don't have a problem with Void Miners only having 3.5 hours of gameplay in it. That's not bad at all. I have gone to movies that cost upwards of $20 to see, and I only got an hour and a half out of those. You know, I have frequently paid $9.99 to see a brand new release on streaming, and it was a bad movie, and it was only an hour and a half. Void Miners was good, and it lasted 3.5 hours. That's much better than a $10 new release movie. I don't watch new release movies anymore. I don't pay to stream movies anymore. I have some streaming subscriptions, And if I can't watch it for free on one of those subscriptions, I don't fucking watch it. There is more excellent entertainment media in the world than you could possibly consume in your entire lifetime. And I just don't see the value in consuming the same thing everybody else is consuming. There used to be a certain value in that, but I don't think it's there anymore. Like, there are all these people who watched Pluribus. I did not, because it's on Apple TV. I don't have Apple TV, because fuck Apple. All of these people were watching it and speculating about it, and then it was over. And now nobody talks about it anymore. People do still talk about, not Succession, but the other one that has like the has innies and outies. That was on Apple TV. Didn't see it, didn't watch it, don't know what the fuck was going on in it. People still talk about that one. Something I noticed the other day, I have a shocking number of friends who recognize the three seashells joke. They know the reference. He doesn't know about the three seashells. They recognize it. And for those that don't know, it's from the movie Demolition Man, which is a Sylvester Stallone movie, also starring Wesley Snipes, also starring, God, I've forgotten her name. I was just thinking about her. Sandra Bullock. Also starring Sandra Bullock, also starring, what's his name? Turned into a big fucking right-wing jackass. Rob Schneider. That movie had a whole bunch of shit in it. Like, all restaurants are Taco Bell now. And the machine that issues fines when you curse in front of it. And the phrase murder, death, kill. There's all kinds of stuff in that movie that kind of remains. There's this current in my social circle anyway. And I was thinking about it and I was going, Demolition Man has objectively had a greater cultural impact than all three of James Cameron's Avatar movies. I mean, who would have thought Demolition Man? That's fucking weird. He doesn't know how to use the three seashells. Somebody made a three seashells joke on my timeline. And I understood the reference. And a bunch of other people understood the reference. And somebody quoted that reference and said, "It amazes me that so many people get this reference." And I told them, I said, that basically means Demolition Man has had more cultural impact, yada, 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 James Cameron, Avatar, blah, blah, blah. And it is fascinating the way that James Cameron's Avatar just really doesn't fucking matter once everybody loses their goddamn mind and pays money to see it. I saw the first one in IMAX. I saw it the day it came out. In IMAX, first showing, because holy shit. And man, was it gorgeous. Holy crap. The movie was amazing. And then I went back home and I was like, what even was that movie about? It's a save the earth kind of thing, but I don't know, man. I think Godzilla versus Hedorah had a better impact in terms of protect the planet and shit. I find it really funny that he had James Cameron's Avatar, and then he did Avatar: The Way of Water, and then he's done Avatar: Fire and Ash, and then entirely separate off in the other room you have Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a whole different thing, completely fucking unrelated. But you got the base, you got water, you got fire, and over there's air. Yeah, we're you can't really do an air-based Avatar from James Cameron at this point. He's got to do something about Earth. I think the first one was really kind of the Earth thing. It was also kind of the air thing, because they have that flying thing, whatever the fuck it is. Thing. I've said the word thing way too many times. Anyway, here's the thing. Another thing I say way too many times. Realistically, we all have our things that we say all the time. There, I said thing again. Oh my God! Stop! If you get that reference, you're one of my people. Anyway, the thing about these two games, I mean, outside of the question of whether they're good value for money, I just found it interesting that the shorter one was more expensive. And I thought, depending on how you look at this, you could be mad about that. I'm not mad about that. I don't think anybody should be mad about that. I think $6 for 3.5 hours is a fairly good, it's a fairly good value for money. But they both took very different approaches to making an incremental roguelike engaging and interesting while offering virtually zero replayability. And because they offer virtually zero replayability, that kind of flies in the face of, I mean, as I'm building my own horde survival roguelike with its own sort of take on what makes it interesting and what makes it fun and what makes it replayable and what gives it value for money. And I'm probably going to put it in about the same price point as Incrementalia and Void Miners. I'm probably going to put it right around that price point because I think the market has already established that this is what a game like that should cost. Kind of like we have established what a song should cost, and it's 99 cents. A song should cost 99 cents. So a CD with an average of 8 songs should cost $8. And when you try to charge $12 for it, people are like, oh, you gotta put 12 songs on that CD. And now we're putting garbage on the CD just to like make up the track list. But the market decides these things. The market decides what these things are worth. It's just like Nintendo put out one of the Zelda games and it was $80. And then a bunch of the rest of the industry went, oh, we could charge $80 for games now. A Zelda game is worth $80. Your piece of shit game is not worth $80. Was Starfield worth $90? I don't think so. I think the public was fairly vocal about Starfield is worth $50. and Shattered Space is worth 20. Actually, Shattered Space and Terran Armada together are worth 20. The market had spoken about that. The market had already kind of voiced their position, and I think they made the right call when they said, you know, here's the PS5 release, and now Starfield is $50, and the premium edition is $70 and comes with Shattered Space and Terran Armada. I think that's an accurate way to look at it. I think that's the right price point. I think $50 to $70 for Starfield is the right price point. I think they overpriced it to start with. I am not upset that I paid what I paid for it, because I wanted to play it a week ahead of time, and I was willing to pay an extra $30 to play it a week ahead of time, and I did play it a week ahead of time, and I had the saved game made the day it was first available so I could prove that I played it ahead of time, and I accidentally deleted it, so now I don't have my proof. Well, I have the old Mars skins, and I have the time in game. One of the things that the Free Lanes update has done in Starfield, I found this kind of interesting. I was thinking about this. I was going over it. I don't like the quantum entanglement device. I think it kind of ruins the core message of the game, that you can pass items through to the other side of the Unity. However, it does make you go directly to the lodge when you start New Game Plus. They originally did that with the Starborn Gravis suit. They had the Gravis suit free creation that you could download, and here it is. It's a suit. It's the best suit in the game. It's in the lodge. You have to go to the lodge to get it. So if you wanted the best armor in the game, as soon as you started New Game Plus, you had to go to the lodge to get the best armor. The problem was, because you gave up everything to go through the Unity, people were not doing it. People were just refusing. They're like, I'm not going to do the work that I already did on these outposts again. I'm not going to refurnish all of my fucking houses. And some of us went the other direction with it. We're like, okay, I just went through the Unity. I don't have shit. I don't care. I don't need a house. I don't need to go start that quest or that other quest or this quest or that thing or the other thing. I got my starboard armor and I got my starborn ship, and fuck it, I'm fine. I don't need to do anything. I can just fuck around. I can just go wherever and do whatever. And I think really what Bethesda wanted you to do was go through the Unity and immediately go to the lodge. Well, if you can pass stuff through the Unity, but you have to immediately go to the lodge, that gets them what they want. And that's fairly brilliant. They were trying to push that to begin with, and I really like the way they don't make you. They just give you a good enough reason that you're almost certainly going to do it. Oh, I don't know if I've mentioned it. I added 2 more mods to my Starfield load order. One of them is Continuum, because if we're going to have the quantum entanglement device, we may as well have the little bullshit thing in Continuum that lets you pass credits to the next side of the Unity. May as well. Also, it'll make it easier to gather up that 5 million credits for that fucking asteroid base. Why is there no achievement for buying that? Is it just because it's so difficult? Probably. I am currently in a Unity playthrough, Unity Jump 43 on this one. And I am about to do another Unity jump without even starting the Terran Armada quest, because I am trying mightily to fix the problem of the arbitrator won't give me targets. I've already thrown away a previous save and started over, and it didn't help, and I jumped through the Unity, and now I'm going to jump through the Unity again, and I'm going to see if that helps. I am really, really trying to get this shit fixed. I wish Bethesda would just fix the fucking problem. But they're probably having trouble finding it. Shit happens. This is a thing. This is a thing that goes on. You know, it's like in Skyrim, you could get the Return to Sidna Mine, the Secret of Sidna Mine quest. That whole like the Silverbloods in Markarth. You could completely fuck that up because you were supposed to go meet a guy at a temple. And if you were supposed to go meet him at the temple and you didn't get there fast enough, the guards would go in there on patrol and kill him. And then you could never continue the quest because he was dead. Oops. Failed to mark Eltrus as essential, I think was the problem there. Anyway. I have found it very interesting. There's a series of 4 games that goes with the game I'm working on right now, and one of them is a large-scale RPG. That is paradoxically going to be the easiest one to build because I'm just going to do it in RPG Maker MV. Is it MV? Or is it MX? I think it's MV. Which one do I have? Yes, I do have MV. Yeah. So I'll be doing that in RPG Maker MV because it's fairly easy, and you can extend it with JavaScript. And I know JavaScript; that'll be fucking trivial. But the fourth one is this large, extensive thing, and the first 3 are. They're an examination of the same thing from first person, second person, and third person. Now, these have had different titles over and over across the time that I've been planning them and designing them and working on them. But the first one is currently called Filthy Pervert Army. It's not the one I'm working on right now. The one I'm working on right now is Filthy Pervert Stole My Panties. That's the second person one. You're playing the person whose panties were stolen. Whereas in the first one, Filthy Pervert Army, you're building the army of perverts. You're playing the person who is stealing the panties. And then the third game is tentatively titled, I'm not going to let you filthy perverts steal my little sister's panties at the hot springs. Because light novels have these incredibly long titles, and I think it's really funny. But that one's third person. You're not stealing the panties, and it's not your panties being stolen. You're a third-party observer, and it's kind of a tower defense game where you're trying to defend your little sister, whose panties are going to be stolen by the army of perverts. And then the RPG is Filthy Pervert Apocalypse: The Rise of Ollie. And that one is completely unrelated to the stealing of panties. It is a separate adventure about the guy who has masterminded the plot to steal panties, and now you have to stop him by collaborating and teaming up with the women whose panties were stolen, who aren't actually women; they're goddesses. And I've got a bunch of script written for that, and I got a bunch of planning done for that, but it's not coherent yet. I haven't put it all together, and that's going to take a substantial amount of work. All of this is going to take a substantial amount of work, but it's mostly just designing and building. But the thing is that Journey to Incrementalia has a structure that would work fairly well as an implementation of Filthy Pervert Army, which I've previously planned as a clicker game. I like the way that's structured, so I'm definitely thinking about that. And I don't know, that that may be something I put in some effort on, but I still have the shit that I'm having my tantrum over in Filthy Pervert Stole My Panties, which is I have to build all of the menus and all of the settings and all of the options, and I got to do all of that stuff, and I don't want to, so I'm throwing a little internal tantrum, going, I don't want to do it. This sucks. This is boring. I don't want to. Well, nobody else is going to do it. I got to do it. So, esse quam esse. It is what it is. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Again, do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit, and okay, bye.